Hi, I'm Natalie Graham and welcome back to Nattabox, which is the positivity podcast where I get the chance to speak to lots of inspirational people from the world of music and entertainment, sports, business, health and well-being. And I'm very pleased and I've been looking forward to welcoming my guest today because it's someone who I've known for a good few years now, but never had the chance to sit down properly and have a real sort of heart-to-heart to. So if you are a football fan, if you are a Wolves fan, then you will definitely know this name. It is the fantastic Carl Ikeme. How are you?
I'm good now. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining me today. We got there in the end.
Yeah, it was a bit of back and forth and a few delays on popping my own part, to be honest. But I'm really happy to be here and happy to do this.
Glad that you could join me. Now, I think I met you originally. You probably won't even remember this, but I want to say it was one of the Wolves end of season dinners, and I think it's one of the seasons where you guys had just gone up, and was it the ICC in Telford?
Yeah, the ICC, they moved it there. I think it was when we possibly got relegated. I think it might have been after the double relegation we started to move it.
I was thinking you'd gone up.
Yeah, I think we came back up.
Right.
I think we came back up, but I think they started to move it to Telford because it had more space than the Molyneux at the time. So, I actually do remember.
Oh, you do? There we go.
I do remember.
I hadn't had too much to drink at that point, didn't embarrass myself too much. But that was the first time we met. And then obviously throughout the years, various events and so on and so forth, we crossed paths. But both of us as well are ambassadors for a fantastic charity, the Good Shepherd, Wolverhampton, which do some brilliant work in and around Wolverhampton to help homeless people and just generally families that are in need. So we've touched base at Molyneux sleep-outs and doing our bits to raise
events,
money.
Yeah, and just popping in that here, there and everywhere. As you said, it's a great charity, great local charity as well, which is important to the community. I think I'd done a Christmas dinner for them.
Was that a couple of 2-3 Christmases ago?
Well, the first one I'd done, I didn't even have the sort of new place they're in. Right. It was I think it was at the back of the church in the city centre. I went to do a Christmas dinner for them. It must have been about 2012 possibly.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then I was just surprised of how many people actually used the service.
Yeah. And
then since then, kind of always sort of been in touch with them if I could help out in any sort of way. And just real good people there, ain't there? Really.
Well, Tom's going to be coming on as well at some point. So I thought in terms of it'll be a nice one to cover because, like I said, they've done incredible work. But we're here to talk about you. First and foremost, you are sort of mainly known for obviously being ex-Wolves goalkeeper and Nigeria. Yeah. You represented Nigeria as well. How did you get into football?
I don't actually know. I think it was different kind of then. I grew up in like sort of council flats, so there was loads of flats around, and then there was just a grass sort of. We called it Wembley because it kind of had a bit of a hill on it, but there's just an area where all kids used to play. I think it was the norm then to just loads of kids to be outside, and then just sort of playing football with friends, and it kind of just moved on from there, evolved into sort of me. I liked getting dirty and stuff like that, so I'd go and goal, and then it just kind of emerged from there that I was actually okay, and it's something I enjoyed. It was just fun back then, really. Just loads of kids always out, was always playing football. My mum's washing line was next to a tree, so she'd never had any washing on it, so we could use it for goals. It was just a bit of a sort of fun time, really. Kind of got into playing Sunday league football because my friends' parents had a team, and that was kind of my initial memories of playing football is kind of around my area. And then I remember I used to go to my nan's, and that's kind of my first memory of being a goalkeeper. It was when I went to my nan's. It was a wet day, muddy day, and then I must have loved diving around in it, and then I must have come back into my nan. She'd looked like, what's going on? And then that's kind of where the first feel of sort of enjoying being in goal.
And then what did you get spotted then at the Sunday League?
Yeah, well, I wanted to play up front because no one really wants to play in goal, but I'd always I always was better in goal,
Okay.
and then kind of played Sunday league football since till I was about 9, 10. Then I went to Villa, got spotted by Villa. I was at Villa for a few years. We were Villa fans growing up. My dad was a massive Villa fan, and kind of it came to the point where I was only going because of my parents and my dad.
Yeah.
I didn't want to let my dad didn't pressure me to go, but I just didn't want to let him down.
Mm-hmm.
But just wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying it there. I didn't feel like I fitted in at the time. And kind of remember having a conversation with my mum. I think I must have been about 12, 13, saying I don't want to go back.
But you still wanted to play?
Yeah, still want to play football. I just weren't enjoying it because it becomes very serious, and then I wasn't playing football with my friends anymore because I had to play for Villa. I couldn't play for my school, etc., etc. So it ended up becoming a bit of a job really at 11, 12 years old, and I just wasn't kind of ready for it in a sense. Kind of stepped back.
You were missing being a kid?
Yeah, in a sense, and it kind of took the fun out of football. For me, it's kind of more of a pressure thing, and then it's quite cliquey. And I just didn't settle there, you know. For some reason, I just didn't enjoy it. Football's a mad game, like, and that it's even madder when you kind of get into like the sort of serious part of it. And I think from an early age, I kind of seen the politics part of football as well, and it happens at all clubs. So it's nothing against Villa. That's just what it is. You kind of realise I kind of didn't feel comfortable at that point. So I kind of came back out, just started playing football again for my Sunday league teams. Played up front a few games, etc., etc. My friend had a trial at Wolves. And as I said, I was playing striker at the time for the Sunday league team, and then they needed a goalkeeper. So my friend was like, I've got a friend who used to play in goal, etc. So I just put a pair of gloves on and went for the trial. And
got in first time?
Yeah, got in, yeah. So it was, I suppose everything kind of happened the way it should have happened, really. But as soon as I kind of came to Wolves, I just felt more comfortable there. I don't know if it was maybe a little bit older or maybe just the difference. There's a different feel about Wolves than there was at Villa. Villa's academy is historic for producing a lot of players at the time, especially at the time. It's probably the best academy in the country. And then when I came to Wolves, it kind of just felt like family feel. I felt comfortable.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone was a little bit more welcoming, and I just felt at home straight away, to be honest. And I think that was a massive factor of why it kind of worked for me at Wolves when I was that age, and then kind of coming through the ranks, really, is that I always felt comfortable here, and it kind of allowed me to progress through the ages.
Because I didn't realise that you'd been with them from such a young age and sort of come up through their their youth academy.
Yeah, so at 14, I got to Wolves, and I was never the person that they probably would have said that I was going to make it, but I think that they seen potential, and I think I was always quite a hard worker anyway, and I think it just kind of happened the way it happened. I trained hard, I listened, I'd take what my coaches were saying on board, and because I'd never been goalkeeper coached really till 16, it just took me a bit of time to catch up technically when I got in. Because physically I was quite fit, strong, athletic, but the technical side kind of let me down when I came full-time in Wolves. But again, I'd be drilling on the pitch. You'd have to drag me in after sessions, and I kind of got there with Bobby Mims. I had good mentors like Matt Murray, Michael Oakes at the time, and yeah, they really did help me in a sense. It's important to have mentors, you know, because I feel like the time that these people kind of spent with me did help me. Even the times of Matt Murray, there's a Georgian Dar was there, Julian Lescott, sort of even pulling me in the gym at a younger age. Kind of, I'm grateful now that it kind of happened the way it happened, because it kind of does all these little things do help you on your path, but you kind of need all of it to make it as well, and you need obviously a little bit of luck and a lot of determination.
Is it more competitive for goalkeepers? Because, I mean, you can imagine, I mean, like you said, you used to play up front until you obviously went to Wolves, and they're like, oh, I know, goalkeeper. But is it more competitive if you've got someone who plays, I don't know, they're a striker, but they're good also in midfield, so that, you know, the gaffer can say, oh, well, I'm going to play you in this position today, whereas when you're a goalkeeper, surely there's a lot less to people. It's like a number one spot to try and get that spot.
I think it's just different. I think obviously in the youth ages, like people do go in as a striker, then could end up being right back.
Yeah.
When they kind of come to the crunch of picking who's going to make it to their first contract, then their professional contract, they might say, oh well, actually you're not. You're good on the left. You're good left wing, but actually we feel like you'd be better left back. So it does give it a little bit more of an option. But I think it's just difficult to. It's difficult to make it. I think, and that's kind of the reality of football, really. And you sort of see a lot of parents who have their kids in the youth team or to have dreams of being a footballer, and it's just difficult, and that's not just to big myself up in any sense. Like, I had a bit of fortune along the way and a bit of determination. It's just hard. It's so competitive. Everyone wants to be a footballer, really, and I think there's times where I didn't think I was gonna make the cut. Like, on many occasions, really, I didn't think I was going to get a full-time contract, let alone kind of become a professional and kind of go on to do what I achieved. Really, I never really. There was obviously must have been some belief in me, but I wasn't the person necessarily that was ever tipped to go to do what I kind of done in the end.
Did you get more of a push from your parents when they saw that, hold on a second, he's got a real chance here to make it? My dad
probably was more involved in my football, but maybe that's because he's just into football, etc. But my mum sort of took a backseat and. She got me to games and training when she could, but I think my mum's probably a little bit more pessimistic in terms of her thinking. I think she just didn't want me to get hurt. Yeah. So I think that's what probably made me probably more the mothering thing of like, I don't want him to get hurt or don't want him to.
And also probably the disappointment as well, because exactly, I think statistically, in terms of those that actually come through the youth teams to those that actually get the opportunity to make it as a professional footballer, is quite low. I can't remember. I think there was like a Channel 4 documentary or something. Was it last year at some point where they were addressing exactly that. And it's heartbreaking for the kids, because when they're literally growing up, and like you said, from grassroots and playing out in the fields or, you know, with their mates, to then thinking, right, okay, I'm in a youth team, especially if they're with a sort of a top league club, and then they don't make it, then that's got to be something that's soul destroying for them.
It's difficult, and you know, I think it's everyone's dream, really, and I think that's kind of what probably helped me in a sense, is that like because I wasn't maybe tipped to do it, right, I had a little bit more maybe the dog in me, really, because I just wanted to sort of prove that I possibly could do it. But you kind of have a lot of players in the youth teams that kind of getting tipped to do big things, and I'm sure they're getting nurtured that possibly might be the next best thing. And I suppose when that dream kind of gets pulled from you, it obviously is devastating. You've done it since 5 or 6 years old, and you kind of get to the sort of latter stages, and you don't know anything else but to play football. And I think it's a reality check, especially when you're like a top academy or a top club, and you don't quite make the grade there, and then you kind of going down the leagues. I think that's what a lot of the players at the sort of top academies can't quite adjust to, coming down to the Championship or League One and maybe going back. I think we've probably all come across players that was either the top or nothing, and they were talented lads, but just it don't always kind of work that way. Sometimes you got to go down to come back up, and it's just a tough industry like that, because it's so competitive, and I think anyone who does kind of break through there has
earned it.
Yeah, in a sense, because it's not easy.
Like you did. I mean, how did it feel then when you got called up for the first game to make that first proper professional appearance?
Oh, shit myself. Yeah, it weren't. I'm not going to say it was an enjoyable thing back in that. Yeah,
Really?
You just. I think the first.
And did you start as well for the game? You weren't brought
my
on or
first.
anything?
Yeah, my first game for Wolves. I think it was in the cup match, and
in a cup match as well.
Yeah, cup match. Yeah, so it was it was a League Cup, so they generally try a few younger players out.
Who were you playing?
I think we played Chester. I think
Right.
It was at home, and it was I didn't eat all day. Yeah, nervous. Then, to be fair, as soon as we got to the game, I kind of relaxed a little bit more as soon as kick-off happened. But I was playing with, I think Lescott was playing, and a few of the pros were playing, and it kind of made it easy for me in a sense.
Okay.
Like, and that
Did they give you the pep talk
me,
you needed to have the confidence that you've got this?
I think everyone just kind of helps you out in their own certain way. But when you're playing with sort of experienced pros at the time, I'm not sure if Ince was playing as well. Paul Ince might have been coming back from injury. They just make it look easy for you, or make it as easy as possible, really, which I was fortunate. I think we won 4-5-0 or something like that on the day. But it was nerve-wracking.
Did you have to make any saves on that?
I don't think I had much to do, to be honest.
Right.
I can't remember the game that well, but I don't think I had much to do. But it was nerve-wracking. A lot of my early career was kind of nerve-wracking rather than enjoyable. Obviously, I wanted to play. It wasn't like I didn't want to play, but there's always that sort of element of the nerves building up before a game. It's kind of actually once the whistle blows, but that's the best part then. But it's the anticipation before I get to the whistle,
right?
Which is the part where you kind of have to deal with. Maybe it might be just being a goalkeeper as well. Is that you have to deal with the build up of. What if I make a mistake? What if this happens? What if that happens?
Don't kick it to me.
And it kind of this is the sort of mental side of the game, which a lot of people don't see. When sort of people ask if I miss football, I'm like, no, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But what you probably don't see is the Friday nights of me in a hotel room, sort of replaying the games that's about to come up.
Yeah.
It's not even happened, and then the mornings and the anxiety that kind of comes with that. It's I loved every minute of it, of playing football, but I think I don't miss that part of it of
the stress.
Sort of, not in a bad way.
Pressure.
I never felt like I was stressed in a sense, but like now I've come out of it.
Yeah.
I've kind of realised that, like, it's intense. Yeah, like it takes a lot. Like you're not there mentally all the time for your friends and family, because you're just that focused on what you kind of need to do on a match day or on training. So that's kind of that's how I feel. Like sort of when I think about football, I don't always think about the good times. I think about not being able to eat that, or or the sort of thoughts about it. But it's strange. As soon as the whistle goes, you're kind of in a zone then, and you're kind of enjoying everything. But the other parts is a factor in the game.
So how did you feel then getting the call to play for Nigeria?
Yeah, that was amazing because I was at an age to go to, when I got the call up, to actually enjoy it more. Because when I was...
How old were you?
I think I was about 26 or 27.
Right.
Where I think at that age, I think 26 to 27 is where I really started to enjoy football more. We sort of talk about the anxiety. I started to deal with that better.
Right.
And then also I kind of knew that I was close to coming into the second part of my career. So I thought you might as well just enjoy it like that, because like all this kind of worrying is not good for you. So I started to deal with things better. I kind of started to understand myself a lot better.
And did you still feel like this when you were getting called up on a regular basis to play in goal at this point? Yeah,
like a little bit of nerves is vital. I think if I wasn't nervous, there'd be a problem.
Yeah.
But I think I just started to deal with things a lot better. Maybe it was age as well, but I think I understood myself, understood what my preparation's like. We had a sports psychologist at the time, which I spoke to a lot, and he kind of explained, like, we were talking about how I feel about the games, training, etc., etc., and then he broke down what sort of person I am. And I'm the sort of person that likes structure. I like to know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I like to know what I'm doing throughout the week. Once I've ticked everything off my list, I'm fine to go into the game.
Right.
Obviously, there's always going to be little factors that you can't control, but like, that's just you. So if you want to go, and I can't just go and not care, go and enjoy training, have fun. Like, it used to bother me that people could just go and do that and just turn up on a match day and not even think about nothing. It's like, I just wasn't that. And when I realised that, I kind of didn't put as much pressure on myself to sort of be a certain way. I just knew that I like structure. I like, this is what I need to do throughout my week, and I can do that. Once I've done that, I can go, and what happens in the game happens in the game. But I think that being said, when I got to Nigeria, that's kind of how I felt. It was obviously a massive honour, and like, making your family proud is the ultimate.
Were
really.
they super proud as well when you told them?
Massively proud. Yeah, massively. So to sort of do that and then play for a nation was a completely different feeling to sort of playing for your club. It was. I'm not saying one's more important than the other, but like, it was just. I don't know. It was a different sort of feeling. Like, and that is more. I don't know. I kind of felt like it was more like I was playing for my ancestors and etc. etc. There was more of a spiritual feeling about.
And did you know a lot of the players already that were in the team? Because surely that's got to be something as well in terms of.
I didn't know anyone personally. I knew obviously some of the players, and kind of met others when I was there as well. But yeah, it was a great experience. That's kind of my only. I don't have regrets about football, but I think that's the only thing that would ever niggle away with me, that I didn't get to play more for Nigeria.
Right. Which brings me on to then, because obviously you're not playing now, and when you were almost, I would say, would you say sort of at the peak of your career with regards to how often you were playing?
Was close, yeah.
Balls, called up, obviously first team, playing for Nigeria, and then everything just changed. Was that in the space of a phone call, or what happened? Because obviously you got diagnosed with, was it acute leukemia?
Yeah, ALL, yeah.
Yeah. So just talk us through what happened.
Yeah, so I'd been injured. I think it was around March time. About March time, we played Fulham away, and I tore my hamstring, which I didn't know till the day after. Played the game, was fine. Obviously, the adrenaline probably just got me through it. And then I think it was the next day, I was really struggling. Met up in Nigeria. I was supposed to play, couldn't play, and then kind of went back to the club. And then was getting rehab, coming back. Kind of got to sort of the start of pre-season, and I was ready to get back training. So I think there were probably signs that I wasn't quite right, but I think maybe because I was injured as well, it kind of maybe masked it in my own mind, but it wasn't anything.
So you weren't feeling like really ill, or?
No, I started pre-season. I was doing everything that everyone else was doing, and still felt. I was still fit. I was still very fit. Yeah. But I knew something was missing, but I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was because I was just coming back from injury. I didn't know if I thought there's a part of me thinking, you've like 30, 31, I think. I thought maybe it's just you're just losing a little bit of power, maybe just because you're getting a bit older now. Yeah. So I didn't really quite know what it was. We had blood tests at the start of the season. My platelets were low at the time. The doctor called me in and just said, your platelets are low. You might have just had a viral infection or something over the summer.
This is the club doctor?
Yeah, the club doctor. He said, we'll leave it a few more days. We'll leave it a few days and we'll repeat the test. Done it again. Nothing had really changed.
Were you thinking anything at this point as well? Did you understand in terms of like having low platelets or what
not really,
it could actually
I didn't
mean?
know nothing. I didn't know nothing really. And then I think I'd done another session. I think we'd done a double session. It's pre-season, so it was quite normal. I kind of came back, and no, I had marks on my arms as well, but I didn't, which I thought was from back diving again, because I just thought my hitting the ground, a few bruises here, there, and etc. Came back in from the second session, the gym session, my nose just started bleeding, which doesn't really happen to me, but obviously people have nosebleeds all the time, so you don't really think. And for some reason, I told the doctor, which I probably would never normally tell him, because I thought he might pull me out of training or whatever. But I went and told him, and then he just said, "Listen, you're gonna have to come out of training." He said, if you take an impact, like, it's not going to be good for you because your blood won't clot properly. He said, "We'll repeat the test, and then if nothing changes, we'll go see a specialist." So repeated the test, nothing changed. Went to see a specialist, and then a few more tests. They told me to not bother coming into training because there's no point, you can't do nothing. And then, just...
Was that frustrating at that point?
Yeah, I think this is where I thought something might have happened, but I didn't think it was leukemia or cancer or nothing like that. I just thought maybe I don't know if it was John O'Shea or Fletcher for Man United had some sort of viral thing at the time, and I know that was out for a few months. I thought maybe I've had something without knowing, or maybe I'm just going to be out for a period of time because I've got some sort of viral infection or something like that. And then, then the doctor rang me, and then kind of, I don't think he said that I had leukemia, but then he started to talk about Stan Petrov. So as soon as he started about Petrov, and I said it's going to be a difficult time for your family.
Was that the same cancer that he had?
Yeah, exactly the same as Petrov. So as soon as obviously mentioned that, I kind of knew that.
Was Petrov Villa?
Petrov was Villa, yeah. As soon as you said that, then I kind of knew that I had cancer, but I still didn't know much about. And then kind of had the process of telling my wife, who was going to give birth in 2 weeks' time.
So how did you feel, before you even go to that, how did you feel when you've got that phone call and you've got that almost diagnosis from your club doctor? What was the first thing that came to your mind?
Yeah, I thought I was dead. Yeah, I thought I was gone.
Really?
Yeah. Obviously upset, really upset.
Did you have to take time to process that before you broke the news to your wife? Because obviously, especially if she was that far gone in her pregnancy.
Yeah, do you know, it was a bit... I drove home, we were having work done on the house. I think she was actually at my dad's at the time. I can
feel my heart rate's just gone up as you're telling me.
And then I rang her. She could tell I was upset. I said, I need to speak to you. So she's come back. Then I've had to tell her. Then obviously she's wailing on the bed. Yeah. And then kind of, we've probably composed ourselves a little bit, and then I'm sort of thinking, well, I've got to tell my mum and dad now.
Was this your first child as well?
Second on this one, yeah. So then I had to figure out how I'm going to tell my mum and dad. And then obviously that was just difficult, watching your mum and dad get upset, my sisters getting upset. And then, it weren't a nice process to go through.
And are they all at the same time thinking the same thing that you were, that you hear that diagnosis and then it's just a case of you just automatically go to the worst case scenario?
Probably, yeah, because I don't think, probably none of us has really experienced it like that. And I think... Yeah, I've never really asked them, to be honest, what they kind of felt in that moment. But yeah, my mum was obviously distraught.
Yeah.
My dad couldn't really process what he'd just been told. And then I think it wasn't until, I don't know if I had a meeting that night or the next day with the consultant, Manas. It's kind of where I kind of got to understand what's actually going on, because I didn't know nothing about, obviously I didn't know the treatment, I didn't know if there was treatment, I just didn't know nothing about it really. So I think until I had that meeting with Manas, I didn't really understand what was in store for me really. And even then when he told me, I still didn't, you don't know until you're going through it, really.
Are you numb at the time? Are you sort of hearing a load of stuff, but it's just...
Yeah, you're just like in a mad sort of daze really. Like it's it don't like. It definitely was real, but you just there's so much going through your mind. Like you can't actually process your thoughts properly. Obviously, I had a young daughter anyway.
Yeah.
Who was, I think she was 4 at the time. One on the way in 2 weeks' time, and then you just you just don't really know what to think. You obviously thinking the worst. Sort of thinking like, what's my wife gonna do without me? What's my kids gonna do without me? Yeah, you just don't know how to sort of think really. And then it wasn't until I think it was the next day. I think I went to see the consultant Manas at Heartlands. Then he started to explain to me what the treatment is and etc. And then I think we sort of asked, well, what's the survival rate?
Yeah.
And then he said 30%.
Really?
Yeah. Then when he said that,
was that an extra blow?
No, I was happy.
That gave you
hope.
hope?
I was happy. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. As soon as he said 30%, like I sort of perked up a little bit because
The
I
fighting
thought
spirit started to.
maybe. Yeah. I
in.
just thought because I thought I was done. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as he said 30%, I was like, oh, I've got a chance. Do you know, I'm going to focus on this 30%.
And you know, with acute leukemia, because I mean, we've had people in my family that have passed from sort of various different forms of cancer, but a lot of the time with different cancers, there's different stages. So it's like you've got stage 3 or stage 4. Do you have stages when it comes to acute leukemia, or is it a different kind of process?
I don't think it's done as in staged,
right.
In that sense. I think it's done that they can tell from your blood work
right.
of how aggressive it is or how long it's been going for. In my own mind, I don't think I think I got it caught. I think it was caught really early, because the symptoms that I had now, like, were, when you put them all together, they're quite glaring that there's something not quite right. But they're very normal symptoms as well in general life. So I had a few purple marks on my arms. Blood when I was brushing my teeth, really hot sweats in the night. Like, I'd wake up dripping. Not lost loads of weight, but a little bit of weight. But it was
the subtle signs.
Signs were there, kind of like I wasn't really thin, but I was losing weight easier than it would normally for me. Like, wasn't that easy for me to lose the way it had come off me. Do you know what I mean?
Were you lucky
in the sense? I was sleeping during the day, which I don't sleep during the day. So there were a lot of factors in there, but at the same time, I was still very fit. So, like, I still was doing pre-season. I wasn't pulling out of nothing. Like, I finished all the training. Had a few dizzy moments when I was in training, but like, it wasn't.
You just pushed through.
I was just thinking I'm just not fit. Like, I think because I'd been injured as well.
Yeah.
I think that was another factor where I just thought I'm not fit. So there was when you put all the signs together, then it probably would see for you to possibly get checked out. But I think at the same time, all these signs are quite normal in general life, and it was summer, so that's why I thought I'm sweating in my bed. I think there was. I remember the kind of them happening around possibly Mayish times.
What year was this now?
2017.
17.
Yeah. So.
Were you lucky? Do you think that you had the kind of I say medical support of the club, in terms of whether it's kind of, I'd say regular checkups, but in terms of your health and fitness and so on? Do you think if it hadn't been for that, then there's the possibility that you would have still pushed that to one side?
I think I would have pushed. I think I was lucky probably that I had the Doc Perry at the club, who was amazing, and like very thorough. So I think also the timing of the test, because you only get blood tested at the start of pre-season. Generally, you might have another one in the year, but the start of pre-season, you're doing all your checks. So I think that's another factor, that I was fortunate that the tests were at the same time. I think maybe being in sport, obviously there's no sort of hiding ground really, so you can't get away with much for too long. Yeah. So I think I'm hoping that even if it wasn't a test, something would have happened eventually, but you kind of don't really know. And I think I had a great doctor, Manas, at the time, who was obviously alert to sort of what it possibly could be as well, like a hematologist. And yeah.
And did you have the full support of the club?
Yeah, the club done everything. Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah.
How long did it take you to tell? Did you break the news to the teammates, or did they do it for you?
No. So I was obviously the doctor told me, and then I think a few days had passed, and then they asked me what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And I was just like, we're gonna have to kind of let everyone know, because there's going to be questions asked at a certain point. Like, people are always already asking me, like, why you're not in, and et cetera, et cetera. And then I think the club doctor broke it to the lads. And then I think it got released the same day, the press release the same day. So it was, the club were wicked, really. Kind of done everything I'd ever ask, really, and just there in support to support me. They brought a bike up to my still wanted to try and train. So
are you serious?
Yeah, so they brought a bike up to the hospital for me, so I could turn my legs over on it. Just there throughout the year, and it was a tough time. Really tough time. So
did you go straight into hospital then? Is it a case of, right, we need to get on this now? And did you have that sort of conversation with yourself? Right, 30%. I've got this. 30% is better than no percent. So I'm in now for essentially the fight of your life.
They can't. Yeah, Manas asked me if I wanted to wait till after the baby to start the treatment. I said no, and then I started the treatment. Stan Petrov actually came to visit me. He was my first person that I seen. We had just talking me through what the stages were, etc., etc. And then we kind of decided that I wanted to kind of come away and go to Manchester to get treated.
Right.
Like Christie's, a specialist cancer hospital up there. I kind of wanted to. I just wanted to come away, because I knew everyone knew. I just thought it might be a bit more difficult to be here. Maybe it'd be better if I go away,
and
take myself away, distance myself
yeah.
away, and then just focus on what I need to focus on. So,
and was this chemo treatment then?
Yeah, the treatment. Yeah, so I went to Manchester, and then pretty much got started straight away. Joe Thompson, who was at Rochdale, he'd just been in for the second time. He'd had cancer twice. He'd survived it twice. He was coming out to Christie as I was coming in, so I had a brief conversation with him as we were sort of crossing paths, and kind of kept in touch ever since, really. And then just kind of got with my treatment, and got started.
And how long did that last?
Well, the real tough part was a year. So you have like cycles. I can't remember if it was might have been between 5 and 7 cycles of treatment that can last certain periods of time. First one was 4 weeks. The first one was 4 weeks, which was quite light, really. But obviously, I didn't really understand what the worst ones were going to be like at the time. So, I still felt sick. I was okay, but I still felt sick and unwell, etc. And then kind of moved on to the second cycles, which was chemotherapy every day. And that's when it really kind of hit me. Then I was really kind of unwell at times, feeling sick.
It was
rough, yeah. And then I came back home. I had a break, because you have a break while your bloods come back up, because they can't start. And then I had sepsis, so I came back. I was missing home. I wanted to come back for the week. I think come back for the weekend or something.
And obviously missing your newborn as well. Well, not just the whole family, but you've got a brand new baby in tow at this point.
Yeah, so they were coming up when they could, but obviously my daughter, another factor is my daughter was just starting her first year of school, so I must have come home for the weekend, and then just wasn't feeling well on a Sunday.
And did she understand at this point that her dad wasn't well?
No, I think she knew I wasn't well, but obviously she didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
And then I come back, wasn't feeling quite well. Just went up to bed. Then I had the crazy. My temperature was like 39 degrees, which says sort of 39. So they said as soon as your temperature goes up, ring the hospital because like you're unwell. Like you need to be careful. And then rang the hospital up. They said bring an ambulance. Ambulance come. Started to feel a bit more unwell. And then I was in A&E then. Then I had sepsis. I was in hospital for I think a week to 10 days, and that was as ill as I've ever been in my life. Really, yeah, it was really bad. I lost my vision for about. My vision didn't really come back for about 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, I was like hallucinating. It was a really rough time.
And that was caused from the sepsis?
Sepsis, yeah.
Wow.
So I just woke up in the morning, went to kind of use the bathroom, and then I couldn't see the sign properly, and then went to look at my phone. Like, my phone was just blurry.
Right.
And then kind of asked the doctors. I said, "Is my phone broke because I can't see?" And then they said no. Then I said, "I can't see properly. Like my eye, I can see peripherally, but I just can't envision unless you were sitting right next to me. I can't see your face properly." And yeah, that was scary as well.
On top of
being unwell already. Yeah, so I didn't kind of had tests in the hospital. To see if my vision would come back, and then the woman at the time couldn't tell me. I think about 3 weeks later I had another test, and then he reassured me a bit then to say that it should come back eventually. It just might take a bit of time because it was better in one eye than the other. But then obviously got over the sepsis eventually and kind of had to sort of start treatment again. But it was a mad time, and then I'd always ask for the smallest rooms in there so I could see the TV because I can get closer to the TV, or I'd probably just have a laptop and I'd like it'd be on my face. Do you know what I mean? So it was a mad time, and kind of it's just.
Was it a lonely time for you?
Not lonely. I always had people there for me. So my mum would come up throughout the week. Then my dad would come up as well a few days. My friends would pop in now and again as well. I had 3 or 4 friends that would just pop in because I just didn't really want to see everyone all the time. Yeah. So kind of it was quite like they'd ask how I was. I'd always say yeah, I'm fine, and then we'd just crack on about whatever else is going on. But and then missus and kids would come up on the weekends, spend a day or two, a night or two. So I had a lot of time on my own in hospital and just in general, like to sort of think, which is not always, not always easy because you kind of your visions, your thoughts can stray. But I was pretty strong mentally. I'd kind of been going through like a self-help journey before that, so right. I was kind of in a good place mentally to go through that kind of journey of being unwell and in that situation. So there was always dark nights. There's always going to be dark nights and dark times throughout. Like, and it didn't get any easier, the treatment. It was just, I just in my mind, I just thought, well, I'll just take whatever pain I have to go through just to come out the other side. So
when was that turning point for you then? When did you think, right, I knew I had this 30% in the bag. That's good news. Thank you, doctor. Yeah. I'm kind of like on the home stretch. I don't think it
ever kind of ever felt like that. You know, I always was kind of thinking, still like I'm still unsure. Do you know what I mean? If I'm better, and then I think it wasn't until it got till around April, and then my last 2 cycles of treatment, and like I finished my 1 cycle and. Normally it was quite a long gap because my bloods took a bit of time to come back to normal, but my bloods kind of bounced straight back.
Okay.
And then
which is what I take it a reassurance.
Yeah, and then kind of got to the end of the treatment. Obviously, my doctor, Adrian Bloor, who was amazing as well, and all the nurses were like unbelievable at the Christian. And I had a talk with Jo, the nurse Jo, and she explained, "Oh, you're cancer free. You're fine." And then I had to ask questions.
How did that feel?
Yeah, well, I knew I was in remission from the first month, but obviously there's always a factor of it coming back. And this is now what,
April 2018?
Yeah, so it was May. I think around May she told me. It was my last cycle. May, June. Yeah, it was end of May because it was my daughter's birthday, the 10th, and I got home for her birthday. But so I said, well, what do I say to people? Because I've not got cancer anymore, or is a possibility it could come back, or blah, blah, blah. She said, then she explained to me, like, you're cancer free. You can tell everyone you're in remission, you're free of cancer. So obviously there's always a chance something might happen, but like it's more unlikely now for it to come back. So kind of just a bit relieved. I don't think I was happy, obviously, to be going home. Still a bit of unknown because you have maintenance treatment after. So I was still taking chemotherapy for 3 years after. I lost a lot of weight. Still, there was another battle kind of after that kind of needed to take place. But I just wanted to get home. I'd been in Manchester for nearly 12 months.
And to get back for the first birthday as well. Yeah,
which was a bit of it was a good and bad thing really, because I'd got back for the birthday part, and which was in the house and then they went to like a cake shop or something, and then my daughter on the night came in crying saying that you didn't come to my birthday, but she obviously couldn't understand why I couldn't come, do you know what I mean? Because my immune system was really low, so that was a bit upsetting because she didn't.
And we all know kids as well when it comes to in terms of all the bugs and stuff that they carry.
So she couldn't quite understand why I couldn't come. So it was a bit of a good and bad moment really at the same time. But I was just kind of happy to be home and sort of happy to be. I wasn't healthy. I was far from being healthy, but like on the right path to being healthy.
And at what stage then had you had a conversation with yourself to say that that's it, I'm done with my football career, I want to put that to one side, or I want to get myself, now that I'm good, once I've gone through the next hurdle, I want to get myself fit and get myself back on the pitch? Where were you in that sense?
I think I knew a few months into the treatment that it was going to be difficult for me to ever play again. Like what my kind of body's been through, like in that space of time, that was mental really. And I think obviously I was still having treatment after I'd finished the sort of hardcore sort of treatment. I was still going to have chemotherapy for 3 more years after that, and kind of spoke to the doctor there, and he just didn't recommend me to go back into football. Right. Said your body's kind of been through too much to ever play again.
How did that feel when he told you that?
It was a bit of a strange thing, really. I think deep down I kind of knew that I wasn't going to play again, and I think it was more the fact that the worst thing about not playing again was kind of the sacrifice that kind of my parents had put into getting me there. I think that's what was more upsetting than anything about not playing again.
What, you felt more so that you'd be letting them down?
Not that I was letting them down, but I just kind of knew it was a big sacrifice, and I was sort of more thinking of the times of being younger, of like me playing football and kind of what it took for me to do it and everything, and it's more of a factor of that. That's what was more upsetting for me, actually. Calling it that, it's actually harder for me to tell people. I had a meeting with Jeff Shee and Kev Furwell at the time, and it's difficult for me to say because it was very final. Like it wasn't like a decision where I thought it was a maybe that I might be able to play again. It's very definitive. With obviously the doctors, with what the doctor told me, and kind of how I felt in my own body, and and the sort of journey that I kind of went through.
Yeah.
Like it was, I knew it was definitely the
That
end.
chapter was
Do you know what I mean?
gonna
Yeah,
be
it was gone.
closed.
Yeah. So I think it was difficult to sort of have that conversation again, but the club were supporting me in every way that they could, and obviously you've sort of got to think I'm just fresh out of sort of coming out. I've been in hospital for 12 months, really, like in the best part of 12 months, and I was just sort of happy to sort of be here and doing things with seeing my kids, being at home, and spending time with my kids and family and parents and friends. Like I was just happy to be alive, really. So football wasn't like, it wasn't the end be all end all. Do you know what I mean? At that stage in my life.
Well, you just mentioned happy. That brings me on to one of my questions to you. One of my key questions that I like to ask everybody. What is your definition of happiness, and how has that evolved over the years?
Ooh. I don't actually. I don't think I can define happiness. I think happiness is, for me, is. I don't think you can just wake up and be happy. You know, I think there's a lot of factors in life that stop you just waking up and being happy. I feel like happiness is something you have to work on.
Okay.
And I think when you find what makes you happy, then you start to, and what makes you unhappy, you start to try and do the things that kind of put you in a better mood. Routines for me is I know if I'm in a routine, I'm better, and predominantly purpose. So I find that when I have a purpose, I'm happy. I think when I have no purpose, my happiness can be a bit more inconsistent. I think gratefulness will always keep me grounded, and will maybe just my experience in life of what I've been through. I think I'll always look back, and then no matter what's going on in my life, I'll be like, do you know what, things ain't that bad. Do you know what I mean? But I think for me, purpose and finding the things that I enjoy, and I think relationships, you know, like I think relationships with your partner, your parents, and your friends, I think having value in them, I think they're the sort of things that kind of make me happy. I know certain things make me happy in life, so I still love sports. I enjoy spending time with my family. I enjoy doing things with my family. I enjoy quiet time as well on my own. I know these are the things I enjoy. So if I know that I enjoy them, make sure that I factor that in my day.
A little piece with each.
Yeah. And
I was going to say, in terms of, because one of the other questions is, what are your key factors that you think contribute to happiness? Whether it's, some people it might be wealth or success or relationships or love or money. So is yours sort of that purpose and relationships, or is it a combination? I
don't know if wealth would ever kind of make me happy. I think it'd be difficult for me to be like a super driven businessman, because money's not a motivator for me. You know, sometimes I wish it was more. Like I wish I had that sort of drive to kind of be like that. It's just kind of not kind of me. I think kind of what makes me happy is purpose, and I think about, as long as I have a purpose at the time, that will make me happy. I think that's why I love sport so much, because it gives me a bit of purpose in life, and I think the whole sort of wealth factor, I know it does make some people happy, and I kind of get it. You have to you need money to survive, and so do I. But I think I'm not the sort of person motivated by running big businesses and doing this. It's kind of not my personality, really. I wish it was more at times, but that's kind of not me. I think having a purpose in life and valuing your relationships that you have in life, I think they're the more important things to me. And
you've mentioned sports. I'm going to come on to, because obviously you've gravitated into a world of completely like the opposite end of the spectrum. But just before I come on to that, I mean, the journey that you've been on, and thank you obviously for sharing, and I didn't actually realise I was going to go as deep as I have today, but I appreciate it. And more so as well for the people who are going to be listening or watching, because again, I think, is it now about one in two people are affected in some way by cancer, whether it's directly or whether they know someone who has it. So when it comes to facing like challenging times, how did you really get to that point of overcoming such adversity? Because I want people to be able to learn from you, because there might be some people that have just gone through a diagnosis and might be at that dazed phase as we speak, who don't know how to process what have I just been told. It might be that there's a family member of someone who's just received that diagnosis. It might be that someone's going through the treatment as we speak. So what would be your sort of words of wisdom for anyone who's going through it?
It's hard to sort of give a definitive answer, because I think ultimately kind of everyone's different. But I think when I'm going through anything, I kind of know that it will pass at some stage. I can't tell. I don't know when it's going to pass.
Yeah.
But then I kind of get back into my phase of what do I need to sort of feel happiness, or to understand that it will be all right, and then it would go back to probably my things that kind of make me happy. And then I probably at this time I'm not meditating or reading books as much, but maybe if I'm going through something, it might switch me on to do it. I know I should do it more, but I think sometimes if I'm meditating in the morning, or if I'm reading something that interests me, which might help me along the way, or even if I've read something that I've read before, that kind of a book that would really kind of put me back into a better mind frame, I think that's kind of when the reminders come for me to go back to sort of what I know will help me be happier. And I think they're the kind of things that sort of make things easier for me when I am doing them sort of things of maybe reading or meditating or being a bit more mindful, or realising what my purpose is and kind of get stuck into that purpose. And they're the kind of things that kind of get me through any sort of tough time, really. I think there's kind of no one size fits all with this. I think you start to probably have to have deep and honest conversations with yourself then, and kind of realise, well, what helps me when I'm happy, why am I happy? And I think that's kind of, these are the sort of honest conversations you kind of got to have for yourself, really, and sometimes uncomfortable. But
how often do you meditate?
I've not been meditating at all I go back into it for a week or so, and then I start.
And what do you do? Do you do your own meditation, or do you have
I
like guided meditation?
My own one. Yeah, I've probably not meditated honestly for about 6 months, but
right.
I'm
saying this when you do.
Yes and no. I think I feel like the gym's my meditation in a sense. So like I probably should physically like sit down and be quiet and meditate in a more of a spiritual way. But I feel like that's kind of through my gym. My gym work, I kind of feel that's like my phase of meditation.
Well, I was going to say, because this brings us to not just the gym, because you've now gone into another fight. And like I said, so glad that obviously you've come out at the end of and out the other side of the leukemia, as I'm sure everybody is. You love mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And you are, I think I remember having a conversation with you when you were first getting into it. It's like, you do mixed martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to step into this?
I think it was sort of after, I think probably a few years after I'd finished, I'd come back home, etc. I was still trying to put weight on it, and I've always loved, boxing's kind of my first love, and then I kind of got into watching UFC more, and then just at a petrol station, and I seen like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu sign. I thought, always wanted to try it. I've always wanted to try that. And I forgot, do you know what?
Had you ever done any martial arts before when you were younger?
Like went to a boxing gym for a few months and then didn't go and stuff like that really, and nothing structured for any period of time really, and then just sort of give them a call, said I kind of come down for a taster, and then kind of ended up doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a period, like 3-4 times a week, and then kind of from there got into doing to sort of start to learn a bit of striking, Thai boxing.
Did this instantly become a passion? Was it just
yeah,
something that once you
passion
just took to
obsession?
It?
Yeah, started to do a bit of wrestling, and then I joined an MMA gym probably about 6-7 months ago as well. So it's kind of progressing to like sort of all the arts now, and I just enjoy it. You know, I enjoy learning new things. I said it's kind of my sort of flow and sort of strange
That
release.
is a form, though, of meditation.
Yeah,
because, I mean, some people can sit there. I meditate every night before bed, but I've got like a guided meditation on YouTube or something, just like aura cleansing or chakra balancing or I need money, please. You said some now. So it depends on what mood I'm in. But then at the same time, I can't necessarily say what I say when I go to the gym. I wouldn't class that as meditation because usually I'm just having to force myself to go. But swimming, I always found when I'd go swimming, I love being in and around water. So when I'd be swimming and doing my front crawl or breaststroke, that while I was underwater, I'd come up with some of my best ideas.
Okay.
Well, because my mind was just empty. Or golf. I play golf as well. So when I don't know if you do, but when I'm playing golf, because you just focused on so many things of like your stance, your position, turn the hand inward slightly, you know, bend the knees, so on, and your mind just empties. So for me, they are also forms of meditation, or even when you go for like a walk in nature or something. Yeah. So would you say that's fair to say that the when you're doing your fighting, that's a form of meditation?
Yeah, I think like it's crazy because it's like a humbling experience being in like doing some sort of art, because you're definitely going to get humbled at some stage, and I think that's kind of why I kind of enjoyed. So I kind of loved jiu-jitsu as soon as I started, because it was like extremely humbling. Like, how is this guy like flipping me over and etc. What like he shouldn't be able to do this.
What just happened?
Yeah, what just happened? How come I'm getting choked out? And then it kind of evolved into sort of the sort of mixed martial arts kind of world of the striking, and then putting everything together with doing MMA rules, and it's just humbling because, you know, there's always something to learn. I think that's kind of what I enjoy about it. It's always something to learn, and every day is like a school day, and I think that's why I enjoy it so much, because
you've got to a decent level, haven't you, as well? From I'm sure I've been seeing on Instagrams and stuff that there's medals being handed out.
I'm getting there. I think like I've done a few competitions at jiu-jitsu. This is anyway, and I do love jiu-jitsu.
What's the difference between jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
I know it's the same. I think there are variations of it, but I think you got maybe Japanese and etc. etc. Right. But I think that was kind of Brazilian jiu-jitsu was kind of the opener, the gateway to it, and now I've kind of moved into sort of doing more mixed martial arts at the minute, which could change back to jiu-jitsu or could go to boxing or Muay Thai or something like that, or judo. Like I think wrestling. I just love all the arts really. I think the reason I actually enjoy them is because there's just so much to learn, and I think I don't think I'd enjoy going to the gym just to train. I enjoy doing something, and then coaches probably think I'm a nose because I'm always asking questions like what. This happened and why did it happen? Right. Then they'll break it down for me. Is this
usually when something's happened to you?
Yeah, or something's happened to me, or something I can't do something. Then I'd be asking them I'm like, what happened there? And then I always ask questions. I always ask a lot of questions, but I think I'm just intrigued by it. And then it's a form of humbling, and yeah, it's just my thing. I just enjoy it. I enjoy watching it.
How has this gone down with the other half?
She just thinks there's something wrong with me. She's always like, have you got a fight coming up? I'm just like, No, I just enjoy training. So why are you going to the gym twice a day? I said, I just enjoy it. It just keeps.
Do you go twice a day?
Sometimes I go through. I've got like a bit of a addictive personality, so sometimes I can really go through phases if I don't know what's going through my mind.
Easily?
I don't actually get bored that easily. I think that's the problem. I actually can, and I think it's maybe the goalkeeper in me as well, because you do that many things repetitively as a goalkeeper. Like you you do the same thing repetitive, like day in, day out, and there's obviously loads of different facets of being a goalkeeper, but your warm up is pretty the same. I must try to catch 100 balls a day at least, like a minimum, and some of them are just the same. It's the same drill,
position, yeah.
Same drill every day, and I think that's kind of why I've took a liking to martial arts, because even if you're doing boxing, it's like the same jab, and then it's like do it like your elbows just sticking out a little bit, like tuck it in or something like that. It's always something similar to that, and then that's the same with jiu-jitsu. Like, why couldn't I do a certain move, or why couldn't I sweep, or why didn't I submit him? And it's kind of like, well, because if you just moved your hand here, then you can do it. And it's the same with wrestling. How come I couldn't do a snatch single? Then it's like, well, you've not quite stepped quite deep. It's like you've not stepped right there. You've not gripped right. Your grip was like this. It should have been like this or whatever. And I think them finer details I kind of enjoy about martial arts.
Because we were talking about this as well before, obviously we started filming, and because Liam has, just putting you out there again, but Liam's a qualified, as I've said before, boxing coach too. Is it to reiterate, to Olympic standard?
Yes, it is.
So can you relate then in terms of what Carl's saying in terms of some of those like the repetitive movements, the minimal tweaks, but that those minor tweaks can make like a big difference?
Everything, especially in like combat sports, it's all the basics. It's basics, getting the basics right, and fine tweaking the little bits here and there, and then you set them. People, they tend to go too much advanced when you got to learn why you're doing things, the way you're doing it, how to do it right, rather than just jumping in and doing it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it makes sense.
So it's good that he asks as many questions that he does.
That's exactly. As a coach as well, that's one of the main things you want from a fighter. The amount of people I've trained, and it's like, they come for the sessions and I know they're not doing anything outside, they're not eating right, they're not training outside, they're not watching boxing, they're not doing anything else. When they're coming back and they're like, oh yeah, I was trying this, or I saw this fighter do this, that's what you want to hear, because it's like, you're putting that work into them and they're reciprocating it, you're not wasting your time. And if they're not putting the work in, you're thinking, God, I've got half an hour left with this person,
right.
I've got 20 minutes left with this person.
You don't have
that motivation anymore to train them, because they don't have the motivation to be there anyway.
Is this one of the reasons why you liked? Because you said in your spare time, if anything, rather than the news and all this kind of stuff, you'll watch.
Yeah,
fights.
I just love the detail of it. I think, especially as I start to do more of it, I'm starting to understand more. So, if one of my coaches would say a certain thing, like I'm starting to see it more. I watch a lot of combat in general, so I can start to see things that they're talking about, and then it gets even more exciting then, and then you start to talk about like the styles, and then it's like forever, it's continuous. It's like jiu-jitsu. That's what was brilliant about jiu-jitsu as well, is that it's just it's endless, and then like all boxing, it's just endless. There's endless styles, and it's not just do this. There's like, have you seen what he does, or have you seen his footwork, or have you seen that hand trap, or have you seen then when you start to see, sort of, my coach was talking about hand traps and pushing away and etc., and then when you actually start to see it, you're like, oh yeah, I've never seen that before, and it's like a continuous thing. And then in the cage, when you sort of start to see like Khabib do certain things, or John Jones do certain things, or there's loads of great fighters, I'm just naming the best known, but when you sort of start to see them do things, then you kind of realise how elite they actually are. Because
would you ever give it a go?
No way.
I'm glad.
I'm too old.
You know what, I'm glad to say that's where you've drawn the line.
I'm too old, and you know, my body's been through too much to kind of do that. I enjoy the sessions, and it keeps me fit, and it kind of gives me a purpose. I enjoy it. I kind of enjoy being around. I enjoy being around people that are competing as well. That's another factor. I like seeing people do well, and I'd like maybe if I can help them out in any sort of way, even just being a body, that's kind of good enough for me, you know. But the way that they train, my body
of going
can't.
In the cage.
Do you know, it's not that actually bothers me, you know. I'd happily go in a cage. I think it's just everything that kind of comes with it, you know. The amount of training
I watch it, but I don't know how. Just because I like my boxing as well, and I do watch the UFC, but every time it's so brutal, and just the punishment that they put themselves through. Look at you just beaming over there.
Yeah, I think it's kind
incredible to watch. It's like, why would you put yourself through that?
Yeah, I think you see it as an art when you actually just enjoy it. Like, and I see it as the art. Obviously, I know that like warriors, a lot of them, they're extremely tough men. I went to the Clark Worley fight on Sunday, and like we were Ben Whitaker, who's local.
Yes,
Ben,
is it Darlaston? I think it's from, isn't it?
Yeah. Tony. I went to go and watch Ben on the bill, and kind of Tony sorted me out tickets and stuff like that to go down. But he got us quite close to the ring, so obviously when they're watching Ben, sort of when you hear the impact of the punches go in, you kind of realise. Like it's punishment as well, and kind of that's where you sort of have even more respect for anyone who gets in the ring, whether they're good or not that good. You know, it's a lot of punishment, and I think I went to watch Ben spar actually a few weeks ago, and kind of even to be a bit closer, and you kind of realise the skill and the timing and the sort of power that kind of comes.
And he's quick.
He's quick. Yeah,
he's
so
quick. I think everyone's like,
so
who
athletic,
is this youth that's coming up now?
So athletic, and just the sort of judging of time and distance, it's incredible, really. And then obviously going to the main event where you got 19 and 18 stone boys like throwing everything into punches, and the ring kind of shakes when you can't, because we were that close. The ring does shake, and
that's on my bucket list. I've always wanted to go to a proper. I've been to like an amateur one in I think it was like Ali Pali back in the day. But
they're probably the better ones to go to at times, though.
What, the proper
like
grassroots?
York Hall or something like that, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. I enjoyed it.
Maybe when Ben fights at the Civic, I'm sure he'll fight there soon. Hopefully,
that'd be a good
come
one.
back to Wolverhampton. Then, he's it's you realise that they're tough men, and then you kind of realise the skill of all of the arts, really, and the pain that they go through. Yeah, it's.
So who's your favourite boxer of all time?
There's too many. This is a tough question to really. I'm going to go two. I'm going to give them two, and these are not necessarily best boxers. I'm not saying they're the best boxers of the time, but these are my favourite boxers. Triple G Golovkin and Miguel Cotto. They're my two favourite fighters, yeah.
Why?
I think Miguel Cotto was just an era where I was just in love with boxing. I just loved the Puerto Rican style of footwork. I think as well, my friend lived in Puerto Rico at the time. Maybe that had something to do with it, like, and that. But just sort of loved Cotto, loved his style, and then Golovkin as well. Just loved the way he fought, his footwork, jab, obviously the power, scary power, knockout power as well, and. I think them two are just sort of my favourite boxers. The best boxer of all time. I suppose you're going to have to start to go to my favourite sportsman, Muhammad Ali. But I think just for my generation, they're my favourite fighters, best fighter.
Do you approve, Liam?
Sugar Ray Leonard, Duran, Roberto Duran, possibly.
Yeah.
Robinson.
The list is endless.
It's just, you can go forever, can't it? You'll never stop. There's always another name that can get chucked in a hat.
And I didn't ask you actually earlier, when it comes to football, have you got anyone in football that you was like your main idol growing up?
I think there's like idols like in goalkeeper. I think sort of being a goalkeeper, Schmeichel was, Shaka Hislop, David James. I think they're kind of the three. I used to support Villa as a kid, unfortunately, but
Not now.
Nigel Spink. I used to love Nigel Spink.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
obviously Uncle Brendan used to play for Villa,
Yeah.
so he was there with Spinksy and all those.
Yeah. So
yes.
Nigel Spink was just someone that I kind of liked at Villa.
And
but
his hands are massive.
yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah, yeah. So they're kind of they were like sort of my goalkeeping idols. I think I'd always. I think Zidane's my favourite player of all time. But,
Is he?
Yeah, but again, I'm not. I wouldn't say the best player of all time, but he's just my favourite of all time. But yeah, Zidane will be the man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that different eras? Was he way before you, or did?
Way before
right,
me.
okay.
Yeah, Zidane was. Yeah, but I just used to love the way he used to glide the pitch, the change of direction. Just looks like he's playing football at his own speed. And
Yeah.
when you realise how quick the game is, and when someone's doing that, you kind of realise how good they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Right. What's self-care? I mean, we've touched upon this a little bit anyway, but how important then do you consider maintaining your well-being and overall self-care to actually be?
Yeah, it's vital. I think vital in life. I think to kind of do it, and it's difficult because it's easy when you've kind of been in a certain position to sort of do it, and I think this is the thing about self-care is that it'd be nice to give someone like here's what to do and you'll be happier.
Yeah.
Thing where it don't always kind of work. It don't work for everyone's life.
It's
Do you
not
know
a
what I mean?
one-stop shop.
But I think when you sort of have these honest conversations with yourself and you kind of realise what makes you happy, what gives you a part-time fix, and what just a bit of a band-aid, you can kind of figure out what makes you happy. But I think for me, I think I'm fortunate because I know what mine is.
Yeah.
Not everyone knows what theirs is, and I think that's the difficult part. I think you see kind of a lot of people talk about self-care, etc., and I think a lot of people just don't know what they're into, you know,
Yeah.
or don't know what
Or where
kind
to
of makes them
start.
happy, where to start. And I think I think it's vital, but I suppose because I understand what mine is, you know, and I think it's important for everyone to understand what theirs is, and it's not necessarily a short-term fix, you know, like, and I think it's a long-term that you can maintain throughout your life that will always make you happy.
That you're always working on.
Yeah, you're always working, and you kind of realise that if I do this, I'm a better person. I'll have a better day, or I can get through my day if I do this. And I think that's kind of important. I think it's important for everyone. But I think also it's different. It's different for everyone because it's different in everyone's life structure.
And what kind of books do you read?
So I was reading my Eckhart Tolle. I loved Eckhart Tolle's books.
Power of Now is my all-time favourite book.
Yeah, that's my favourite book.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's my favourite book. And then I've got loads of books. I go through different phases, but not all of it's kind of self-help and mindset. Sometimes I just like learning about certain things. But when I kind of get back into sort of reading again, majority of it will be either not necessarily self-help, but might be something about the mind and why. I like to know why my mind thinks a certain way, or why people do certain things, or what makes people tick, what makes people do certain things, or why do I do it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm reading the book and then it ends up relating back to me anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I like them sort of books really.
I'll have to, before you go, I'll have to show you some of that I've got in there in case there's any that you want to borrow. But things like The Alchemist and is it the monk who sold his Ferrari and
read that as well. All the same books, yeah.
So I've got a few in my collection. But speaking of books as well, just before as we sort of come to a close, I messaged you. You'd already left out to come here today. I was like, oh, don't forget to bring your book, because obviously you've got an autobiography that's out as well. And I'm sure that there's going to be people who, just from the brief time that obviously we've been speaking and hearing your story that you've shared with us today, would want to go even deeper. So just tell us a little bit about the book, and we'll make sure that, because obviously we haven't got a copy here, but we'll make sure we put like a little picture so you can all see what it looks like, and we'll put the links so people can obviously go and get themselves a copy. But what made you write a book? And was that an easy process?
It was the process wasn't too bad, you know. It was, I don't know if it was therapy, I don't know if you can call it that, but it was quite easy. I'd done it with Paul Berry, which you know from
Did you really?
He was the Good Shepherd as well now, yeah. So I think I just sat down with him, just said, well, I've got an idea of doing a book, and it was more for more wanted to do it just for my kids, really, to be honest. I think it was more of a fact of I thought I can't imagine myself ever having a book out, do you know what I mean? And I think that was the main factor of like me thinking, well, I'm just going to do it for my kids just to show that it's possible, you know, because I never would have thought that. Growing up, you said, you can have a book out. I'd piss myself laughing, do you know what I mean? Like, I never would have thought it. So we sat down with Beza, and then just said, we'll start it, we'll just meet up every week or every 2 weeks, and then if we've got something, we'll put it out. If we don't, we'll just kind of leave it. And then kind of got to the end, and then we thought that we actually had something, so it got kind of well received through everyone as well. Everyone kind of sort of enjoyed reading it. Hard read for some, maybe inspired a few others, and it was
glad you did it.
Yeah, I'm glad I've done it. Yeah, it was something that I've kind of never thought I would do, and I've kind of done it really now. So there's not going to be a 2 out obviously, or a second one. I hope not anyway. But it was just something for my kids, really.
Yeah. And it's still there. People can get themselves.
Yeah,
a copy.
I think it's on Amazon. Yeah, on Amazon.
We'll put the links and everything up. And my last question is, what would be your go-to song? If there is a song that you can go to that's like either an uplifting track or that you just automatically puts you in, guaranteed to put you in a good mood, lift you out of a funk, what would your song be?
This is so difficult because I just love.
What music do you like? I haven't actually asked you that before.
Actually,
I have my drum and bass playing when I came. I like a bit of drum and bass and old school jungle there, Natalie. Yes.
I like all music. That's the thing. So there's not like a general thing, but I think my sort of favorite artist is Marvin Gaye. So
really,
yeah. So Marvin Gaye or Curtis Mayfield. So I think they're my kind of 2 favorite artists of all time. To narrow it down to a song is difficult, though. I think I've got too.
Because what I'm going to do, there's going to be like a little Nattabox Spotify playlist that everyone who comes in, then. I mean, you've just said Curtis Mayfield, so my brain's just gone straight to Move On Up.
Move On Up.
Because
do you know what? Yeah. Do you know? I can tell you why. That's been playing a lot in my car because I found a mix. It's called Soul Odyssey on. I can't remember I seen it on, but it's and Move On Up keeps coming on. Yeah. So definitely, Good choice. You made it. You made me choose it. But you know, I got into Curtis Mayfield when I wasn't very well.
Really?
So I really started to dive into his music. So, because Move On Up, Ghetto Childhood, that really songs that his album we used to listen to like nearly every day. So, Move On Up. Yeah, I'm gonna go for that one. Yeah, because it's uplifting as well.
No pressure, by the way. You can choose something different. I'm not forcing it upon you.
You got kind of Marvin Gaye.
Love a bit of Marvin.
Distant lover. I love that.
They've just found as well, this is just completely random off topic, but they've just found a load of, is it unheard and unreleased Marvin Gaye tracks with some family, I want to say, that he lived with for a while or stayed with. Is it some random place like Belgium?
Oh, no, he did, yeah, because I watched a documentary about him the other day, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. I learned things that I didn't know, really, but he came to... I think he was having drug problems, and then I think he came to England, supposed to go on tour, messed that up a little bit, supposed to play for the Princess, and then didn't turn up. And then I think he went to Belgium to kind of dry out.
Right.
So he spent a lot of time in Belgium. So maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
literally.
you
Then
might be right,
what day was I? I can't remember. I was at work the other day, and someone mentioned it to me. I was covering breakfast was it a couple of Saturdays ago, and Alec, who reads the news, was saying that here's one for you, Nat. Did you know? And yeah, so all unreleased material. I don't know what's going to happen to it, whether it's something that's going to go in like a museum or someone's probably going to try and get hold of it and create some AI something.
He got into boxing as well, which I didn't know. Yeah, he got into boxing while he was in Belgium. Well, I think while he's trying to help to like clean up a little bit.
Right.
But yeah.
My honorary Uncle Phil, who I stay with when I go stateside, and he's sounds really posh now. Stevie Wonder's one of Stevie Wonder's main keyboard techs. When Phil was younger, because he like lives around the street from where Marvin Gaye was, so I've had like the whole tour, and he used to play basketball with him.
Oh, really?
When he was little.
That's all amazing.
Yeah.
So he's Marvin Gaye.
Curtis Mayfield. Might have to throw a Marvin Gaye track in there as well, just because I love a bit of Marvin.
Of course. Yeah.
So no, good shout, Liam. I'm going to ask this time as well. Have you got any? Because I know every now and again you're standing there and you've got your own little quick fire questions that you want to fire. Have you got anything that you want to throw at Carl?
What was, when you were playing for Wolves, what was like one of the most notable sort of matches you played where you thought this was it, man?
Good
question.
I think do you know you have like I had different moments in my sort of career, really. I think my first league game against Bristol City, we won 2-0, and that was it was kind of like, yeah, I can do this. Like I'm good enough to do it. Like I'm good enough to be involved in this level. And it sounds mad because you're training with everyone every day and you're kind of doing well in training. But I think actually doing it on the stage was a big. I think there's other games I've had through sort of playing for Wolves, which are probably games where I've done better as well, where you sort of always think about. I remember playing at Stoke in the FA Cup, probably one of the best games I've ever had for Wolves. And then sort of there's just loads of other sort of games within that you kind of remember. But I think,
is there a really memorable save? Is there one like the creme de la creme of all saves that you've ever made?
The one save that I remember was in the reserves, to be honest. And then I think it was against West Brom, actually, madly enough. But I remember a save sort of, I don't know, like the kind of balls, like someone shot, it's got blocked, so I'm kind of going the other way, and then someone hit it again, and I've ended up coming down with my left hand. That's kind of a type I remember, but it's in the reserve, so no one's ever going to remember that. But and not really. I don't really remember saves like that, to be honest. Like that, I just remember moments and kind of feelings. I think that's when I don't miss football in that sense, but I think when I'm watching a game and I kind of see the atmosphere start to get a bit aggressive and stuff like that, and you kind of feel it, I think they're the moments where I think, oh, I remember what that feels like. And that's the only time I ever miss football a little bit. But I think I don't remember certain things that I've done. I kind of just remember kind of moments and feelings that I had in the game, maybe noises and stuff like that.
And what's next for Carl Ikeme?
Oh, I don't really know. I started to do a construction when I finished. We started building houses, so we finished our first project not too long ago. I'm just waiting to start a new one now, which sort of not wrangling with planning. We're handing certain stuff into planning now and trying to get get ready to get started that. So that's kind of what I do now.
On the property front.
Yeah, like it's these are barns, like barn conversions. So
Nice.
it's something that we kind of it's can be stressful,
It's on
but I
my
enjoy
vision
the
board,
process.
so I can make sure that hopefully someday, when I've got the budget to do so, if I want to go and buy, that's one of the things I've always wanted to have is a barn conversion. That's one of my ideal homes.
Do you know? I think
I shall be coming to you to build me one.
well, we'll see how we finish it first. But that's kind of my thing now. I quite like seeing things come together, and I like the process of it. I don't like the sort of waiting around at the minute, so I don't like that part of it. But as soon as you kind of get on site, I like to see how things kind of come together. Can even be a labourer when needed here and there, and kind of lift things. But I haven't got a trade in any sense. But I try my best at trying to make things come together.
You have a vision and you know what you want.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. I just like seeing things evolve, and then getting to the point where you start to put kitchens in, and just the process is not always fun, but I do enjoy it. Purpose.
Yes, again, purpose. Well, Carl, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I went deep today, but I appreciate it. And I'm sure that there's going to be some people, like I said, who are either watching or listening that will have benefited or can relate in some way, shape or form. So thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Thank you for joining me on Nattabox. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure at some stage I'll be getting you back in as well. Other than that, then that's it for another episode of Nattabox. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and we'll catch up with you soon for the next one. Take care.